In this election, I think the biggest issue that's up for debate is the issue of empathy. We are living in a society and government where there's such an erosion of empathy, right? We're not able to understand the lived experiences of other human beings.
Most important to me personally, I have cerebral palsy, which is a disability that comes at birth, and I rely on private healthcare for wheelchairs, crutches, medications, surgeries, several $1,000s per year in costs. And so there's really no market incentive for any private insurance company to cover me. And before Obamacare, my mom had to take a job that she would have rather not, because it was the only one that offered coverage for her disabled son. So keeping those protections around obviously really matters to me.
Racism exacerbates all other issues that are on the political spectrum in our country and make them so much worse for a portion of our population who have been slighted throughout our country's history.
Criminal justice reform, because I believe it's the start and end of so much of the racial and socioeconomic inequities that we see in our country today.
Definitely the issue of police brutality and police reform matters.
And then immigration reform. As a child of immigrants and as somebody who holds immigration very dear to my heart, this is an area where we have to treat others with humanity.
There's just so many human rights abuses that happen at the border, from the lack of accountability, but even more importantly, just this really pervasive, hateful sentiment towards immigration.
He's literally just put people in cages. This is not even a joke. He's teared apart families. I'm not even exaggerating what he's done. These are the facts.
The biggest issue in this presidential election, I'd say, is the pandemic. It affects everyone, including the economy. So that's at stake here with the different courses of action.
The coronavirus pandemic, that's up here. This is, the way we have dealt with this is honestly so appalling to me. The United States has completely screwed up this pandemic, and now we're in our millionth spike with 1,000 people dying per day. And what's even more shocking to me is that the White House released a statement saying under their list of accomplishments that they ended the pandemic. And I was I don't think we have. Forgive me for being so bold, but I really don't think this thing is over, okay? There is still so much work that needs to be done.
Handling of the coronavirus, especially having national leadership on that front, encouraging people to wear the masks, having a national plan, recognizing the importance of the coronavirus and the effects that it is having.
And I'm also really concerned about climate change because we're running out of time and the Trump administration will not. I don't think, I'd be shocked if they did anything to help.
But also, I think the climate is really important too.
I'm not one to say that I'm proud of both options, but I guess if I had to say who I hope would win, it would be Biden. And that's because he kind of has a more straightforward view on something that I care about, which is climate change, whereas Trump kind of is denying the science and makes it hard for me to vote for someone like him.
Key issue that is important to me is climate change, and attached to that, economic recovery post-COVID-19. I think there is a real, plausible, and logical future in that we use the pandemic as an economic restart and use it to put in place policies that affect education and infrastructure to help us save the planet and also generate income and jobs.
My biggest issue that I'm concerned about is just the preservation of American democracy. I think 4 more years of Trump would cause our democracy to crumble just because of the way he degrades democratic norms, his authoritarian tendencies, his attacks on the media, which is so important for a free and functioning democracy.
It really does feel like a time in which our our basic, I don't know if you want to call it democracy, but for the purposes of this, we'll use the word democracy. Our sort of electoral systems and our institutions are being challenged in a really deep way.